these Rakdos decks usually, but of course anything can really change here. And there's a lot of nice sideboard cards like the one we're looking at here on the far right. Go Blank
Go
ends
Blank
up being
is
awesome.
So easy.
Yeah.
Just like get rid of 2 cards, but then goodbye to your graveyard. As we're going to see Blood Crypt to kick things off, it looks like. 1 kitty. I mean, turn 2, we could have 2 kitties, but let's go. Cauldron Familiar number 1 down on the battlefield here. Get this life total down to start things off very nicely here as we see Essica's Chariot drawn for Riku Kumagai. We see the Eliminate in hand, able to take care of the Cauldron Familiar if needs be. A Thoughtseize drawn, so let's take a squiz and see what Riku Kumagai is working with. For Nathan Steuer.
Yeah, and looking at the records here, we do see Riku at the 7 wins and Nathan at 8. So another situation with 8 wins. Nathan really needs that 2 wins to kind of lock it up. Riku might be out of contention already,
perhaps,
but you can definitely still get 9 wins and hope at that point.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to be so close.
It is going to be really close. With how it's just so even right now, it's extremely close.
We're gonna have to get that machine that Monty's up against to crunch some numbers for us. And
I don't know. I think that machine's given up at this point.
I wouldn't trust that guy, yeah.
That machine's just given up, just picking what Monty says. I mean, come on. Get original, you know?
More Kit Kats on the battlefield here for Nathan Steuer, followed up potentially by the Blood Tithe Harvester. Just keep developing this board. That's the name of the game.
Yeah,
or
really.
Does he want to hold up?
Another brick there. You have to just straight cast it, but, you know, these Abzan Greasefangs really care about the 3 drops. So if you're going to miss on turn 3 with miss land drop number 1, and now you miss again and you just have to go find a land drop here, you've kind of time locked yourself twice. That's not great for Riku Kumagai and Abzan Greasefang.
And you know, in other matchups, you could well have the time to do that. You know, you're not too stressed about it, but your life total is attacked here so much more than any other matchup. You know, it's just like you're getting dinged from left, right, and center because of these cats.
Yep, absolutely. Nathan Steuer, another one of those players that was doing extremely well on day number 1. Not the hottest day 2, but still in the hunt and still fighting it out here with Rakdos Sacrifice.
For sure, and up 1 game so far against Riku Kumagai in round 13. So if you have just joined us, we have this round and then 1 more for the day before we find, our top 4 players. So here we're going to see a good old 1-2 punch. Fable the Mirror Breaker alongside our Blood Tithe Harvester.
Yeah, it's getting exciting, Ailey. I mean, this is really what this tournament is all about. These last few rounds, seeing the players' reaction when they lock up that spot, seeing them handed an invitation to come and hang out at this beautiful convention tomorrow, and play in it as well, instead of just hanging out with all the cool tens of thousands of people out there.
Try and win a boatload of money.
Yeah, boatloads of money is good. Yeah.
Boat, that's the boat that delivers the money, I'm sure.
Really?
Hoist a massive trophy, which you probably need an entire team to lift, because that thing is heavy, let me tell you.
Yeah, is it just me, or is that trophy much larger than it usually is? Yeah, it looks really cool.
You know, it's the 30th year of Magic. We got to go big or go home.
Exactly. And we're done being home after all these years, so we're going big.
Yeah, let's go for it. Fable the Mirror Breaker, are we discarding? Yes, indeed. Croxa, Titan of Death's Hunger, is going to get chucked in the bin here. Potentially something else for Nathan Steuer. So is the Sulphur Springs going bye-bye? So
what Nathan is really deciding here is right now, discarding just Croxa, a nice play here is just Go Blank plus Harvester. That's already lined up in hand. Depending on how many cards are in your graveyard, it could also be something like, you know, Go Blank or Croxa plus Blood Tithe Harvester, depending on if we do have enough to escape that Croxa from the graveyard.
To be fair, though,
we
don't want to be discarding anything for our opponent.
That is a very good point.
Riku Kumagai could just chuck a big old boat in the bin, and then, oh, hey, Abzan Greasefang, you know, Greasefang pops out, and that's not the best situation considering nothing in hand here, but...
Yeah, Croxa is not at its best in this matchup. I will have to agree with you there.
Yeah, not without a Go Blank follow-up, which Nathan Steuer does have, so...
Yeah, absolutely, and that is kind of what we're lining up, you know, that we are 1 turn away with this Shaman attacking to be able to go Croxa, discard whatever you want, and then Greasefang, Yeah,
or excuse me, then Go Blank.
Or then Go Blank, excuse me, yes, of course.
Oh, but it is quite tempting. I mean, you see Crocs a little bit, you're like, oh yes, we must escape it, but no, not yet. Hold.
Yeah, this is interesting here. Depending on exactly what's in Riku Kumagai's graveyard already. If there is Parhelion or Parhelion 2 in the graveyard already, you just have to fire off Goblin.
Yeah, for sure.
If you don't find a removal spell here.
And Witch's Oven is going to hit the board. So we can see some Cat Oven combo going off here. I don't think there's any vehicles in the bin right now, so...
I would imagine, otherwise this is not the best play.
Yeah, no, for sure. If there was a Thoughtseize or something for Riku to target himself, get a vehicle in the bin, then we could see Greasefang here. But this is a tricky situation because now the forces are mounting on Steuer's side of the battlefield. He needs to get something down, or he's going to be very dead very quickly.
Yeah, it's looking like maybe not necessarily dead next turn. Nathan's not really able to present pressure next turn, but the turn after, almost absolutely.
Yeah. This is just so much pressure mounting, and Riku's, you know, doesn't really have much option here. Has to go for Esika's Chariot, get these cats down on the board just to stave off this offensive here.
Which cat will be better here, the Cauldron Familiar and the Oven combination? Yeah.
Look at those fancy show cats. Those cats don't get into a fight. This little guy knows how to scrap.
Absolutely. The other cats are just hanging out. And Cauldron Familiar being able to just block Esika's Chariot, you know, you're not really that afraid of that type of game plan from Riku. You know, you can have a bunch of cats, but we've seen this time and time again, not only in Explorer now, in previous formats. These Rakdos decks do not have to attack to win the game.
No.
You pair Mayhem Devil with Cauldron Familiar and Witch's Oven, you're going to be dealing a ton of damage, as well as Reflection of Kiki-Jiki, copying Cauldron Familiars or Blood-Tithe Harvesters to really do some strong things.
Or even copying Croxes, because then it's just extra dings and damage and ugh.
Yeah, luckily they can't do that with the Legendary Claws. That would be a little too powerful.
Well, no, you just keep the original one, right? The second one just goes bye-bye.
No, you unfortunately cannot do that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, no, sorry, yes, it is legendary, right?
Yep. Otherwise,
that would be kind of gross.
I would be pairing Reflection of Kiki-Jiki with Yorion so many times, and that would be my absolute favorite thing to do ever.
Please don't retcon this card or errata it. It's fine, but we are going to see Croxa, Titan of Death's Hunger, hit the battlefield here, and likely see that play that you mentioned of Croxa coming down, forcing a discard, and then say goodbye to your graveyard.
Yep. Croxa ends up being not great in this matchup because, well, some of these boats are going to the graveyard or Parhelion too, but when you can follow it up with Go Blank, it ends up being a strong play. And actually this kind of, you know, baits Riku Kumagai into discarding Sky Sovereign, which is a pretty good card right now, you know? Like, you're pretty incentivized to get rid of that because it, you know, increases your Greasefang. So a nice combination here from Nathan.
Yeah, it certainly looks appealing, but I think Riku sniffs up something. He's just like, no, you know what, I'm going to hang on to that for a second.
Didn't fall for it. That was impressive. Liliana also doesn't look that great on this battlefield with all these Cauldron Familiars, so it does make sense to just get rid of that card.
Yeah, but we're going to see the Go Blank fired off here anyway. Nathan Steuer wants to get some extra cards out of hand here for Riku Kumagai and get this graveyard gone. There is another copy of the Can't Stay Away. So, you know, just whatever's in there, it's no longer a factor in this matchup.
Okay, Go Blank gonna send 2 cards from the hand and empty the graveyard. So whenever Go Blank resolves, rest in peace, any of these effects that really get rid of the graveyard altogether, that's kind of the struggle with these Abzan and Greasefang decks is they have to spend a turn to rebuild their graveyard and then go for Greasefang. So we're even seeing just Riku considering just giving up Greasefang and just trying to win with Esika's Chariot and Sky Sovereign.
Yeah, it's kind of like a lackluster game plan, right? You know, sure, it can play the fair Magic, as it were, you know, not cheating these massive vehicles into play, but we're going to hang on to Greasefang just in case. It is another body on the board. There is a piece of removal. And at this point, Riku needs all the help he can get.
And here's the really brutal part from Riku's side is Heartless Act stayed in hand because Croxa has to be dealt with or it's just going to win the game. And Nathan's like, yeah, sure, I'm going to escape that in not too long of time with an extra blood activation, with permanents naturally going to the graveyard. It's probably not going to happen next turn, but would happen soon anyways. And not only on top of that is you get 2 food when Witch's Oven chomps on some bigger creatures.
Yeah, toughness 4 or greater is going to get you 2 extra, or give you an extra food token, I should say. Here comes Greasefang, just going to be on chump block duty. Now, will we see? Yeah, Esika's Chariot's going to get in there.
Okay,
just to make a copy of a cat.
Yeah, maybe even a clue.
I think we need some creatures.
I think you need creatures as well. I totally agree. with Cauldron Familiar coming from the graveyard, that's already down to 8. That second Cauldron Familiar actually puts it to 7. The Oven next turn is 6. Reflection of Kiki-Jiki is 5. So it's a virtual 5 already with Riku. What Nathan has on battlefield for next turn already. So a really, really strong sequence here for Nathan.
When you watch the life totals go down in a cat oven thing, it's kind of like watching the slot machines in Vegas. It's like ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, absolutely.
There goes the, ooh, the life total. Some extra little dudes on this battlefield now. We're going to channel Sokenzen Crucible Defiance. Is that enough?
It looks like that puts Riku to 2, but would also lose Reflection of Kiki-Jiki and the Shaman if it was an attack with everything. So I don't think we're going to see Reflection get in there, but everything else, quite possibly. Maybe we just see Shaman and maybe just the cats. I could see, you know, a defensible play for any of them. Giving up the Reflection here is something that I don't expect us to see. And outside of,
feisty.
What do I know? What do I know?
I mean, I was with you there. It's like, okay, just give it one extra turn. Okay, all right. Level heads prevail. Keep that back because we can make copies of cats, and then we're just in Ding City one more time.
Yeah, and now some crazy combination, and not even crazy combination, like a Grizzly Salvage off the top to put Parhelion 2 into the graveyard. And, you know, all of a sudden that's 13 damage in the air that's not even lethal, which might definitely mean that Riku doesn't have an out right now. I don't want to say that quite yet because it does still seem like it's possible. But it has to be a big draw here. A swamp off the top and crack that clue and it's another land or something like that. That's going to be Nathan advancing to 9 and 4.
Down to 4. Riku Kumagai goes. Gigantha the Wellspring brought to hand. Might as well use all the mana, says Nathan Steuer. And this is going to be a big draw here for Riku Kumagai, hanging on by a thread. But I've got to say, I think Nathan Steuer is walking away with this one. And we'll be going to 9 and 4.
It's definitely looking good.
Rafine's Informant with nothing. I mean, could find a vehicle off the top. You know, able to send that away. There's the clue too.
Sack the clue first, see what we can find. Big draw step.
Thoughtseize, listen here, friend. We don't need any more damage dealt. Thank you very much. Rafine's Informant. The cycle away finds another Greasefang, not the half of the combination that we need. And that is unfortunate indeed for Riku Kumagai. It's going to go through the motions here, though. Isuka's Chariot will be able to create another token.
So that's going to be 3 blockers. Reflection of Kiki-Jiki. Can copy a Cauldron Familiar if so choose. Probably not. We're probably going to wait till end step for that. But it'll be interesting. I think either option is going to warrant Nathan the win here.
Yeah.
But we'll see what the proper sequencing kind of scenario is when it comes to this.
Because there is a cheeky thing you can do with Kiki-Jiki as well, is where you get to the end step and then you make the copy.
Exactly. I'm wondering if we're going to see that or if we're going to see a block here. Doesn't even need the block, so we're going to go to end step. We're going to get that Cauldron Familiar. That'll be able to attack next turn because of the way the sacrifice trigger works.
Yep.
And you got to think that this game is over.
Yep, I think so too. End step, Witch's Oven, Cauldron Familiar. There's the food sacrifice. Down to 3 goes Riku Kumagai. Plenty of attackers. Another Cauldron Familiar can be made next turn. And this is all over but the kitchen sink. Oh, and Colligan's command just to get... Let's just do it this way. This is the way to do it. Just ding.
I'll choose the 2 damage mode as one. You can keep the rest.
Yeah, there we go. That's going to do it for Nathan Steuer. Rakdos Sacrifice. I absolutely love this archetype. And you got to think he's going to be pretty darn happy with his choice for the